Bound, blindfolded, some even stripped. In this video, the jeers of Israeli soldiers abusing and mocking Palestinian workers from Gaza, detained in Israel just days after the beginning of the war. At the Kerem Shalom crossing, men wait anxiously, hoping that their brothers, fathers, sons are among the Palestinian workers who have finally been returned to Gaza by the Israeli military. Thousands of Gazan workers, like these men, had their permits to work in Israel revoked after the October 7th Hamas attack. But with no option to return home, many attempted to flee to the occupied West Bank, only to then be detained. They tied our hands behind our backs, blindfolded us and led us onto a bus. I don't know where they took us, but there were about 200 to 300 Gazan workers held there. Some of the men here are visibly weak, and with each crossing, more stories of abuse and even torture. One man telling CNN he witnessed the use of electric shocks on detainees. They put us in cages like dogs. They beat us and insulted us. They didn't care if you were sick or injured. Some men even died on the way here because they were beaten and subjected to electric shocks. Every day felt like death. They would give us a cucumber to share between 6 people and a small piece of bread. An Israeli security official could not say whether electric shock tactics were used, but told CNN that the IDF is aware of several incidents of abuse against both Gazan workers and Palestinians in the occupied West Bank, adding that these cases are being treated seriously, with disciplinary action said to have been taken against several soldiers identified in social media video. But NGO workers at the Palestinian Prisoner Society say this is a systemic issue, with few legal safeguards in place of Palestinians. We've received horrific first-hand testimonies, Amani Sarahna tells me. They didn't do anything wrong. They weren't charged with anything. Yet many of them were interrogated and systematically tortured. They were abused and brutally beaten. They faced all kinds of dehumanization and insults. In the occupied West Bank, there are thousands of Gazan workers still stranded, desperate to be reunited with loved ones, praying every day for their safety. Maher al-Skeik was working in Israel with his son, Rafiq, but he hasn't seen or heard from him in almost a month. I don't know where he is, whether he's in prison or dead. He's my son, my whole life. He came here to work, to be able to feed his children. He wasn't here to join in any fight. He wasn't here to cause trouble. But just as there are fears for those still missing, at this centre sheltering stranded Gazan workers, there is also indescribable anguish over the safety of family members back home in Gaza. My family is now spread out all across Gaza. They've all had to leave the Jabalia refugee camp because of the airstrikes. When I am able to reach them, all I hear is misery. Every day is another catastrophe. For weeks, many of these men have had no contact with their families. The Gaza they left behind, now changed forever. But for those now across the border, the relief of being freed from detention and reuniting with loved ones is clear. But many have not returned, with thousands still stuck in the occupied West Bank and others still missing.